Hello, fam. Thanks for joining and listening in on our Shred Strong Community webinar series. Today, we're talking about our recovery and rest days, since that's been our focus and our habit for the month of June. July, we're going to mix some things up, so be sure to join that and check that out. Just to let you know, we're going to dive in. We're going to join, kind of have folks talk about maybe what benefits them. I'm going to share some messaging that I've gotten from them and from you all and all of that. So that would be really cool if, going forward, you maybe send me a little message in the app. Let me know, what's been a benefit to you with your rest and recovery days, because I think that sharing is caring. And remember, this is a community. We're supposed to share and let folks kind of know and check in with one another about what's working really well for them and for you, because that is ultimately what's really important. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start my slides here and share my screen, and that will be super beneficial for you all. Give me 1 second here. Share my screen. Desktop number two. Perfect. All right, let's do it. Share. Hopefully, it'll let me actually do it. Do play. Perfect. All right, friends. So there you go. Hopefully you can see that okay. Recovery and rest days, we're going to go ahead and dive in and keep this quick. So rest days are when you get stronger, all right? They allow your body and your brain a chance to fully recover and progress. Point blank, all right? Whether you believe in that or not, it is really what's going to get you better. So rest days and not going hard, not going ham, and not just going all out. That is what's actually going to, help you progress, because I think all too often we think that the harder we work, the harder we push ourselves, the more intense we are with things, then of course the better, our workouts will be, the better results we're going to get, and all of this other stuff. And that's just not the reality, all right? The reality ultimately is that you have to have rest days. You have to have recovery days. Active recovery also works really well. So, hey, it's really a matter of what is working best for you. Okay. So, other benefits of proper resting and recovering: energy replenishment, glycogen stores. It's really important to replenish the glycogen that is stored in your muscle and, of course, your liver, but especially in your muscle, because that is ultimately what is going to help you have the energy for your next workouts. Okay. Reduced risk of energy. So you do want to reduce any overuse injuries. This is why a lot of times folks might have like achy knees or like achy hip or an excessively achy lower back when they are doing a lot of excessive biking throughout the week. So if you're a type of person who rides your bike every day, or you commute, maybe you're not adjusted to it yet, yeah, you can feel a little bit of an overuse injury developing. So just something to think about, in terms of that, because it is really meant, rest and recovery days are meant to improve your resiliency. And of course, we all do want to reduce our risk of injury. It does improve sleep. So the better, sleep you get, obviously, the better your training is going to be. So it's a nice little cycle here that we do want to continue there. All right. With improved sleep, the reason for this is because exercising as well as taking proper and adequate rest days and recovery days, that is really what's going to help with your circadian rhythm ultimately. Okay. Next point, you're going to see reduced stress. Workouts, even though they're great, and bike rides, even though they're great, they are stressors. So it is something to kind of think about. But again, it is also really important for you to keep in mind that even though the workout, you might feel better after a workout, and that, of course, in turn will motivate you to want to do it every single day, right? And you're going to want to keep showing up every single day, because again, then you're going to be in that loophole of like, okay, I have to work out more. That's going to give me better results. But friends, recovered and rested body and brain is really what's going to see the improvement here. Okay. So even though the workouts feel fantastic, they are a form of a stressor. So you do want to reduce the stress ultimately by taking rest days, by taking those recovery days. Okay. You wanna have that give and take when it comes to that. Okay. Increase motivation. When you're well rested, you are more motivated, period. So this is a really huge mental health benefit, because don't get me wrong, rest and recovery days, they're going to help you with your physical rest, but also for your mental rest. I can't emphasize that enough. Last but not least, obviously preventing burnout. Okay, so you want to keep this sustainable. You want your workouts and bike rides to be sustainable and long term for for the life of you. All right, and in order to do that, you know, having adequate rest and recovery days is really what's going to help you with preventing burnout overall. All right, so next question is going to be, a lot of folks are asking, should I take a full rest day or should I take an active recovery day? Honestly, the answer to this question is that it depends. The age, that's one of the factors. There's a whole list of factors to kind of consider. Age. I hate to say it, I'm going to be 46 this year, but the older you are, the more recovery is generally warranted. Okay. Your training age, how experienced you are at training overall, the intensity of your training, especially in your current blocker phase. If it's more intense, you're going to require more rest and recovery days. Okay, how well or fast you are currently recovering. That is something to obviously think about. Because if you're not really recovering adequately, then obviously you're going to need maybe a full rest day. Soreness levels. So the more sore you are, obviously the more, maybe an active recovery day might be a benefit, which we'll talk next. Food intake. So if you're dieting, you're going to need to maybe consider increasing your food intake a little bit. Timing of your events and races, obviously, that's also a big thing. And then life events or stressors. That obviously, like we said in the last screen, stressors are workouts. Workouts are stressors. So if you're having a lot of other life events, I have a couple folks in the group who are moving, getting married, and all of this stuff. And those things are very positive life stressors. However, they're still life stressors. So again, you want to balance it all out. And then last but not least, definitely not last on purpose, but hormones, phase of life. Hello, perimenopause or menopause. Those things can obviously change, how things are going for you. So, how to optimize your recovery? Take at least one full rest day per week. You might need more depending on those factors that I listed on the previous screen. All right. Active recovery. So, think about that, to help you with the last screen, to help you consider rest days or recovery days, active recovery days. Active recovery days helps get the blood flow going, especially to the sore or fatigue spots. All right. Sleep is so crucial. Sleep is going to be your superpower. And of course, if you're perimenopausal or postmenopausal, sleep can be impacted. It can also be impacted because of a variety of things like stress, life stressors, all of those things, and the factors that we talked about. All right. If your training is more intense, if you're under eating, sleep can be impacted. If you're really, really stressed, can't emphasize that enough. I'm going to say it again, just because stress is so important to consider in all of this. But sleep, becoming aware of what your sleep kryptonite is incredibly important. If it's doom scrolling at the end of the night, that friend is not going to benefit anyone. You're going to be scrolling and doom scrolling, and it's just not a benefit at all. All right. So, what gets in your way of a good dose of sleep? Really be honest with yourself. Is it the doom scrolling? Is it checking your email one last time? Is it getting on Instagram one last time? And I'm saying this as someone who does have a propensity to do that. But let me tell you, friend, it makes a huge difference in your sleep if you just minimize, your access to all of the information in the world in the palm of your hand. If you don't have that in your bedtime routine, guess what? Your sleep's going to be a lot better. And that's why I mentioned digital sunset before bed, really considering this because sleep is so crucial. So give yourself at least a 30 to 60-minute buffer before bed of no screens. Give your brain a break. And if you are going to tell me, Jen, I work 12-hour shifts. I'm working all day. I'm on my feet. I'm very like busy at work. I'm dealing with customers or patients or clients or whatever it is for you or kids, you know, my moment of peace is when I'm in bed scrolling. I'm very proud of you for finding something that works really well for you to come down at the end of the night. But I am telling you right now, because you might be able to fall asleep quickly while scrolling, or because you get tired while scrolling, doesn't mean that it is making your sleep better. It's actually impacting your ability to get into deep or REM sleep, which are both those types of sleeps are going to help with your recovery, are going to help with your ability to feel well rested when you wake up in the morning. Right? Just like alcohol. A lot of folks say the same thing about alcohol. Well, Jen, when I have a drink, I'm able to go to sleep. I'm able to fall asleep like that. Well, yeah, because you're making yourself tired. It's depressant, but it's impacting your phases, your sleep phases. So that is what you want to consider. So when it comes to active recovery, like I mentioned earlier, it helps increase your blood flow. So you want to mimic the movement that causes soreness. And I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but body weight squats for sore quads, for example, those are going to be super great. So consider that. Also, easy bike ride. So we're talking zone one, zone two, okay, friend? That it needs to feel incredibly easy. It has to feel incredibly easy. That's going to be what's really crucial for you. So do another sport or movement. Also, that's another option, like swim, yoga, do a little stretch session, whatever it is for you. But these things can definitely help. I will say also massages can help as well, like especially sports massage, deep tissue massage, or things like that. But mimic the movement that causes soreness, especially with the active recovery. I'm a big proponent of doing an easy bike ride, especially if you do have sore legs. Again, gets the blood flow going, but it needs to be easy. Focus on easy, okay? Other recovery methods, we're talking breath work, meditation, mindfulness. When you're doing breath work or any type of, mindfulness exercise or certain meditation that does focus on the breath, doing any type of longer exhalations is really what's going to bolster that parasympathetic response. Okay. So that is just something to consider. Now, breath work is not for everyone, but if you are an anxious person when it comes to your breath, then obviously don't do it. It's fine. Yoga Nidra. Look on YouTube or in the Shred Strong workouts for resources on this. Okay, I have something for insomnia that you can use. It's a YouTube video. It's from a meditation instructor that I've used, a yoga instructor as well, that I've used in the past, and she's phenomenal. Her name is Jax. She lives in Scotland, does not have a Scottish accent. I'm sorry, but those resources are really great. I will also say some Yoga Nidra that is available on YouTube is not so great. So you do have to kind of find your own, but use the resource that I have in Shred Strong. These are something, it's an instructor that I've vetted personally and I've gotten to know Jax over the years. Really enjoy her work. But she's fantastic. She also has a really good yoga workouts as well. Although, Agnes Rodriguez, who does our in-house yoga flows for Shred Strong, she's obviously my go-to yogi. But also mobility. So think about foam rolling any tension points, doing some deep breathing while you're doing those tension points, especially with quads, especially after bike rides and things like that. Listening to a bedtime story. I know the Calm app has these. I use Insight Timer personally. Insight Timer has these as well. But use, an app or even find a YouTube video from someone that you trust and see if you can listen to a little bedtime story to help you calm down instead of scrolling. So these are really good substitutes to consider instead of scrolling. Reading also, using your Kindle, especially with a low light background, works really well, helps you come down. And, listening to relaxing music is also an option, but make sure it's relaxing music. Just like I mentioned earlier with active recovery, make sure that it's an easy bike ride. Make sure it's relaxing music. Don't blare anything that's super intense right before bed. And then consider also if you might be under eating, if you're dieting. These are things that can impact sleep. These are things that will definitely impact your overall recovery and especially hydration, especially right now. For those of us in the training program, 100% of everyone in the training program is in the northern hemisphere right now. I do have someone traveling in southern hemisphere, so it's winter there. But doesn't really matter what season you're in. You are definitely going to want to hydrate effectively. All right. What else can you do? Hey, a warm shower or bath before bed is fantastic. Consider doing an Epsom salt bath as well. Also, last but not least, especially if you are dieting, if you are under fueling a little bit because of certain goals that you might have, consider maybe trying to eat at maintenance for you, maintenance calories for you, which is a little bit of a personal thing that you might need to explore. But also, if you are dieting, then try to still focus on eating some protein and carbs before bed. So in that last meal before bed, dinner, you know, again, try to really optimize the protein content and the carb content before bed because that's going to be huge. Um, but again, I really want you to reflect on what do you like to do before bed? And I'm emphasizing the bed thing, even though we're not necessarily focusing on sleep during this, consistency challenge. And the reason for that is because bedtime is so important to set yourself up for the next day. It's so important. If you are that type of person that's working 12 to 15 hours or more, or you have a lot of life responsibilities or a lot of things that you're juggling, you know, you need to really reflect and see what can you fit in, what can you change, what can you shift, because that's how we make shift happen, friends. I can't emphasize it enough. And this is coming from someone who has a propensity for not really sleeping well. But I notice when I do those dial movers, when I really focus on, adjusting things in my life with, especially with my bedtime, that is really what's going to make a huge difference. All right. Huge difference. If you sleep well and you really dial it in, even coming from someone who has a brain cyst that prevents me from sleeping well, and I'm going through perimenopause. So I have a two banger here. All right. And I've never slept well ever since I was a kid. I've always been a person that has kind of gotten by on 6 hours. If I can make shifts and make changes to help with enhance my circadian rhythm, I fully, fully, fully believe that you can as well, because I literally have a physical ailment that prevents me from getting good sleep. And I want this for you. I would love this for you. Love for you to feel more recovered and more just feel like you have more vigor. All right. But ask yourself, what do you like to do before bed? Scroll back, rewind a little bit in this video and ask yourself, what can you do before bed? But I want to say thank you. I'm so grateful for you. I know that this is a lunchtime thing and no one was able to really come on, but I did want to record something that was succinct that you could easily watch on your own, when you have some time. But I'm so grateful you're here. If you have any questions about sleep and just recovery overall, hey, let me know. Again, you can always reach out to me in the group messaging. I really like group messaging because chances are, if you have a question, someone else in the group might also have the question. Again, I can also answer questions privately, sure, if you're not comfortable with that, but it takes away from the group element, okay? And I really want this to feel more like a community. But again, you can also email me. You have my email address. But we didn't have anyone coming out, but I did want to say some folks, they did get back to me about what worked well for them, and they messaged me. And big things are just giving themselves more rest because especially with the temperature and the climate changing and the seasons changing and it being warmer and a little bit more demanding on your body, then yeah, it is huge for you to take the time and really know that like, okay, cool. I'm doing this thing. I'm doing this thing. You know, I am setting aside these 1 or 2 days for complete rest, or what some folks call 0 days. You're not doing anything, right? And I'm feeling really different. And this is huge, friends. This is huge. I've heard that from a handful of you in the group chat as well as privately. And it's huge to really recognize what you might need, what your body might need. That being said, in North America, we do have a holiday week, this Thursday, Friday. I'm going to be out of town. I will be checking in on messages and things like that, but I'm not going to be doing any movement review or really much of anything because I'm going to be with friends, going to be spending time with friends. All right. So if you want to see some movement review and have that done, hey, be patient with me. Try to send it earlier in this week if you can. But yeah, I'm going to be in Steamboat with some friends, spending some quality time with friends and loved ones. So I'll be checking the app a little bit less. So be patient with me. I won't be giving thumbs up on the video or on the workouts and things like that as much as I am over the weekend, because it's a holiday weekend. But that's okay. You all know that I love what you're doing and how you're doing it. But if you ever need anything, let me know. And reach out to me. Keep it going, but still factor in and schedule in uh, those rest days more effectively for you because that's going to be huge, and it will definitely be so so beneficial for you to have those rest days and those adequate rest days. Okay. All right, friends. I am looking forward to seeing you next week. This week is a choose your own adventure, choose your RIR adventure when it comes to you know, uh, what feels best for you and what feels most adequate for you. And, I think it's going to be what is working best for you. All right. It's all subjective and that's on purpose. All right. With that, I will see you later and I'll get this loaded.